I'm here with David Kraft, a psychotherapist who practices in London, and he's agreed to answer some questions about how psychotherapy and hypnotherapy can be used to to help people who want to give up smoking.
Yeah.
So, briefly, can you explain what type of techniques can be used for people who want to give up smoking?
Well, some people have tried nicotine patches and self-help books with very little success, might add. I'm not sure what the exact percentages are, but a huge number of people try to give up smoking each year, but only very few manage to achieve it. The approach that I use has had a lot of success. It's a multimodal approach, and it's quite a creative approach, but basically I use hypnosis to help people give up. Now the process starts on the telephone when people make the appointment. You know, they phone up and say, I'd like to give up smoking, and in that interview I ask the direct suggestion, are you ready to give up smoking? And when they say yes they are, it acts like a sort of contract. I then say whether you're willing to give up smoking. Before we book the first appointment, I'd like to get you to get rid of all the smoking paraphernalia. So the ashtrays, the tobacco, the spare tobacco. So they get the whole, made a definite decision to do the healthy option. And then they book the appointment with me, and when they arrive for the first session, I confirm that they have got rid of all the smoking paraphernalia, and before we start I say, look, you can use hypnosis and say to all your friends, oh yeah, I tried hypnosis and it didn't help, but I've tried that. But the only person you would be losing out would be you. Or we can work together to really nail this right now. And I point out that many of my clients have given up in one session. So it's quite a rapid approach, actually.
So once they've made the appointment and they've come and you've confirmed that they're really ready to give up smoking, you then use hypnosis, do you, to help them? And how does that work?
Well, I use all sorts of techniques, but the first technique I use is I do a basic induction to move them into hypnosis. Now, sometimes I use a naturalistic induction where I use my voice and get my client to imagine a special place, and to move them into more inner awareness. But sometimes I use induction like an eye fixation induction, where they look at a spot and their eyes become heavier and heavier and tired and more relaxed. And after the induction and the deepener, they go to a special place, and in this special place not only are they safe and relaxed, but they're aware of all the abilities that they have, their abilities to give up and to take the healthy option. And then I use behavioural approach. I use aversion therapy or covert sensitization, which is an approach used by Cortila in the 60s and my dad, and we wrote a paper on it a few years back, where I give trials. So whenever they want to have a cigarette, I make them feel nauseous and actually ghastly inside. But the important point is it's before they take the cigarette, because if it's while they take the cigarette, they've already started smoking again. So before they take the cigarette in the early morning, they feel nauseous and sick inside. And I ask them the direct question, and in that instance, do you take a cigarette? And then they confirm, no, I don't. We move on to the next. We cover all the times of the day. And then I ask them questions, are there any other times we've missed out? And they practice that using an imaginary play button. And they imagine being in all those situations, and not each time they don't have that cigarette. Then I use the split screen imagery approach. I get them to imagine a image in front of them, of a screen, and on one side you've got a healthy pink pair of lungs working efficiently, on the other side you've got a dark tar infested pair of lungs, and I invite them to take the pair of lungs which they want to put in their body. By this stage, of course, I already talked to them about being a smoker in the past tense. When you were a smoker, you did this. So they've already made that conscious decision to take the healthy option. So they take the healthy pair of lungs and move it towards them. And then enjoy being a non-smoker. Get them to walk along a road, watching all the smokers along the road, and enjoy not being one of them.
Wonderful. And then after the session,
yeah.
Do you follow up with them and find out how effective the treatment's been?
Yes. Well, I say that many people give up in one session, and that's true. But some people require a booster session. There's some people that say that if they're not going to give up in one session, they're not going to give up at all. I'm much more varied about that opinion. I think that if they need a booster, then you have a booster session. And I normally do a 6-month or a year follow-up and phone them up and see whether they're still off the cigarettes. In some instances, the treatment is so successful that not only do they not smoke a cigarette within that period, but they have very few cravings. And in the paper that I reported in Contemporary Hypnosis, the chap gave up, and at the year follow-up he had no cravings, which is lovely. It's a lovely result. But what Lynn said in the States says is that you know, if you do have cravings, that you just allow them to wash over and to fade away.
If anyone has any more questions, have you got any suggestions? They can look on your website, presumably?
Yep. We published 2 papers. One was on covert sensitization in general. That covered nail biters and chocolate addiction and cannabis smoking, as well as smoking. And the recent paper which I've published, you can get from the British Library, or subscribe to Contemporary Hypnosis. And also a pre-publication version of that paper is on my website, which you can look at. And any information you can certainly write an email to me or fill in the box and send an email through my website.
Thanks so much, David.
Thank you.